Hello.
All right, we got a lot going on here.
Hi, Kinsley.
Katie, what do we got going on?
A lot. So I am currently writing out what I put in each of the trays. So the trays are going to be what is in the Brinzy. And as you can see, there's lids on the eggs now, and they're level. And that means we're in lockdown mode. So they are starting to pip. I've already seen at least 15 eggs starting to pip. So this is in tray 1. So I started off with 47 eggs. And these are the breakdowns. So what I'm doing is I'm putting how many eggs I had of each breed that went in. And the reason there's a slash is I'm going to put how many hatched out of each of those. So that'll help me with my ratios and my rates. And then tray 2 is all barnyard mix. And so that's a super easy one. So the last one that I'm working on is, these two will end up going together because these are all dark Brahmas and there's dark Brahmas in here, but it's dark Brahmas, Americanas, Rhode Island Reds, and cream leg bars. So really easy to tell those breeds apart. So I'm just marking them out and getting all of the brooders ready. We've got the heater set up so that this room will stay nice and warm. And then we will have lids that go on all of these, as well as additional supplemental heat if needed. And then we'll have thermometers in each of them to make sure they stay at temperature. So just getting ready for hatch out.
So yesterday I was able to get the majority of the living room area removed. Stacks of wood that I need to get out of here so I can continue doing more removal. So I'm going to back up the truck, load these into the back of the truck, and then go put them into the gray barn out of the way. Okay, that represents about half of the tongue and groove flooring, but these are only the long parts. I wanted to try to organize them in a, kind of organize them by, I guess, by length. So I did the best I could there. Some have nails, some don't. The ones that don't have nails are the ones that are ripped out, so they're not very good tongue and groove boards, but they're good boards. And the ones with nails have really good tongue and groove still left. Then there's a bunch of little tiny parts, or not well, there's smaller parts like what you see here. And so I didn't want to stack those up yet, so I just kind of tossed them aside, and I can deal with those later because I still have the other half to take out, and so I'll probably double the long boards, and then I'll probably have double the amount of these small boards.
I look out across the water, I smell the salt, I feel the breeze, but in my heart to Watertown, and maybe Johnson City, or Memphis bound, no matter where I go, no matter what I see, I still hear the calling of Tennessee. And who even know where these rivers flow, or why the wind chooses when and where to blow?
over the last several days, I have been working on getting the remaining tongue and groove flooring off of the floor, and I am happy to announce that I am done. All of it is gone. Now that I have things exposed, I get a much better look at just how much damage was done over the years on the floor, the sill plates, the floor joists, everything. It's quite a mess, and quite honestly, it's a little overwhelming, especially for somebody that's never done this before. So I want to walk you through where we're at with things, show you some of the areas that I think are going to be challenging for me, and quite honestly, I don't exactly know where to start. Tomorrow, my neighbor, the architect, he's going to be coming down to take a look at it with me too. Maybe we can get a better game plan, but there's a lot to go over. So let's go ahead and head down to the crawl space, and let's go ahead and talk about what needs to be done. All right, crawl space it is. So, can see that everything's exposed. It's a much bigger area than I had realized when you get things just opened up, and it's quite a bit. It's about 500 square feet or so, because the whole house is about 1,000 square feet. All right, let's just talk about the first thing, and that's the foundation walls. So half of the foundation wall is this poured concrete here, and it's just pure poured concrete. That's from this little corner here all the way around the north wall, and all of the, I'm sorry, that's the south wall, all of the east wall. And then the majority of the west wall is the concrete blocks, the CMUs, and that goes all the way around, then over to the north wall. And it is my understanding that these CMUs are not filled, they are hollow. They are not filled with grout or with mortar or whatever it is that you're supposed to fill it with. So it's just all hollow. And you can see here the way that the existing floor joists are attached is they are mortared into place, and then they have a bracket here that, let's see if I can get a better look at one, bracket that holds it into place on into the cinder block. So these cinder blocks here, maybe where it's mortared into place, maybe they're filled, I don't know. You can also see that I had previously marked 1 foot increments when I was thinking about just adding a bunch of floor joists and not tearing up all the floor, just to give it more strength and level it out. And that would have been a lot less work. But now that I have things opened up and I can see just how rotten areas are and just how moldy, how much mold is still left, even though I did a huge mold remediation project a while ago, it did not get all the mold behind things and between things. So I'm glad that I did this despite the amount of work. All right, so what I want to show you here is that the foundation is not entirely level. So let's turn on my laser level here. Oops, I think I just, and all right, so you can see here that the laser level is pretty much right on the top over here, and then it's not at the top here. Let's just work our way down the line. It's really not horrible. So we got about I would say what is that? Maybe 1/4 of an inch, no, 3/8 of an inch of a rise right here. And then as we get over into this corner, we got about a 1/2 inch rise here and a 1/2 inch rise there. So it looks like it actually, this is the highest point on this wall, and it kind of dips in areas over here. And then of course the north wall here, it's a whole stack higher. So you can see the laser line level, and it's a whole stack higher. So it'll be interesting to see how I'm gonna be doing this. I don't think it's gonna be exactly the standard, put a sill plate on the foundation and lay the floor joists on that and go and span the distance. It's probably gonna be a little bit more creative than that, but anyway. So in addition to that, these foam boards that I put into place here before, I have to take those out so I can really see how much damage is behind there, but I can probably get a sense of just how much damage is back there based on what I'm seeing here. Now this is just siding. It's not the ledger board. There is no ledger board. And so it's just the floor joists that go all the way to the edge of the foundation on the outside, but there is a floor joist that is underneath the south wall. I don't know exactly how rough a shape they are, but they don't look that great. Actually, I can tell you they are not great at all because we exposed this a long time ago, and that is the floor joist that's holding up a portion of the wall, and it's just completely rotted out. I think that's dry rot. I don't think that's termite, even though there was a termite issue here before. This is where the kitchen was. So one of the things that we want to do is the foundation, the addition is slightly lower than what the flooring was in this area that I've just exposed. So let's actually walk over there and I'll show you. So here it is here. This you're looking at right there, that is the addition. Its floor joists here are lower by, it looks like an inch. I think these are 2 1/2 inch plywood pieces. And so the top of the plywood for the addition reaches the top of these floor joists here. And so when you add the subfloor, probably 3/4 inch or so plywood, then that makes this area taller or higher rather than the addition area. And what we want to make sure to do is when we put the floor joists and the new floor in this area here is to drop it by that 1 inch to make it so it's level when you're walking from the addition into the main area, the kitchen and living room and stuff. But we also have this issue where the south wall is a whole CMU block higher, and its sill plate, is a 2x4. And so we have a bunch of uneven surfaces, and we're gonna try to do our best to make it so all of the walkways, the pathways throughout the house are on a flat surface. So that way when we do flooring, there's no bumps and there's no transition that happens. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to proceed next because there's dry rot that has to be solved. I have to replace probably a few supporting structures that are supporting the wall. Like for example, just going back here again, you can see that the bottom plate to this wall, to this west wall here, this is an exterior wall, the bottom plate doesn't have anything supporting it between the floor joist, and this is a good probably 20-inch span. Actually, it's more than that, it's more than 2 feet. And you can see that it's starting to crack right here because it's dry rotted, starting to crack and starting to bend. And so this needs to be replaced. Something needs to be put in to support it between the floor joists, unless I do 1 foot on center floor joist spacing throughout this portion of the addition, or this portion of the house. So going to be replacing a bunch. Basically, I'm going to have to be lifting up the walls. Actually, let's kind of back up. So in addition to having to replace some dry rotted pieces of exterior wall. In order to get these floor joists out all the way, I have to lift the wall up so I can take these out. And I want to be able to do that just because of the amount of mold that I'm seeing on the surface of these guys. So let's see if we can head up there. So look at this. I mean, this is mold. And I'm going to be, at minimum, cutting out, you know, this portion of it here all the way back. But then if I leave this portion, then there's still that little bit of mold that is left behind. Or even if I just cut it at the wall here, there's still going to be mold between the bottom plate and the top of this guy. I mean, there's just areas all over the place that still need to be cleaned out from mold and dry rot and all that kind of stuff. So lifting walls, removing sill plates, replacing sill plates, removing floor joists, replacing floor joists, getting them to the proper height to match the addition, replacing rotted out parts of the wall, whether it's the stud or the bottom plate, probably doing some repairs around the doors is probably an area that they're going to be pretty bad. I mean, it's, I'm laughing, but I ain't laughing. Like, there's so much, there's still so much to do here, and I'm glad to be able to do it, and I'm glad that when it's done, it'll be done right, but it's a lot. And then there's the fact of how do I attach the sill plate to the foundation properly if the foundation isn't poured, if it isn't filled. Do I have to fill it? Do I have to, I don't know. So there's a lot to think about here. There's a lot that has to happen, and I'm not exactly certain the best path forward at this time, but I'm doing a bunch of research, watching a lot of how-to videos, reading a lot of how-to vlogs, reading through code, all that kind of stuff to make sure it's done right. Contacting companies like Simpson Strong Tie on products that they may have that's available. You know, I can attach the sill plate, for example, this sill plate to this concrete poured foundation, no problem. They have ways of doing that. But I'm not sure about the empty CMUs. So anyway, there's a lot to think about. So yeah, so at this point, I have a lot of thinking to do and a lot of prep work to do, but we'll get to that on the next video. But meanwhile, I'll continue doing my research, and we'll get to work on the next video. So, all right. I'll see you guys later. I really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll get to work on the next video. Bye. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention the giant concrete pillar where the chimney used to rest on. I mean, that thing is massive, and it is probably too tall. So I'm sure some of that or all of that is gonna have to go. But I'm not going to make any of those, I'm not going to start doing that kind of work until I have a plan laid out and I know exactly how I'm going to be laying my floor joists and how it's all going to be spaced. So anyway, all right, I'll see you next time.